I'm David Reed, and this is The Engine Room. Hello, and welcome back to The Engine Room. We have a very special guest, Frode Jensen, with me.
Thank you, David.
Thanks for coming.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. So, Frode, where were you born?
I was born on the south coast of Norway, a small place called Fevik.
Fevik.
In NOV perspective, it's basically in the middle between the APL office and the Christensen office. So,
do you still have family there?
Yeah, basically my whole family lives there still, except for me, my wife, and my daughter. The rest lives in that area.
Do they all talk about you, the guy who went to the big
the
city?
guy that went abroad never came back.
He went to Kristiansand. It's like it's a tale they tell little children.
Yeah.
Don't go to Kristiansand, because
No.
next thing you know, you'll be somewhere else. We'll
That's
never
it.
see you.
That's it.
That's funny. So your family, they're all there. It's a very small town.
Yeah, it is like 5,000 people living there. So.
Very cool. And what did your parents do?
So my father, he started off as a welder.
Yeah.
In a local shipbuilding or later building rigs.
Really?
Nemo, which actually has been one of our sub-supplier over the years. And then later on, he went on to basically a maintenance in the municipality,
Yeah, very cool.
fixing apartments for the people that was housed by the municipality, basically.
Yeah.
And then my mother was a home worker,
Uh-huh.
so she took care of
She
me
did the hard
and,
work.
my little brother and my little sister. So I think we kept them busy enough.
You're the
for sure.
oldest.
I'm the oldest.
That explains everything.
Yeah.
That's why you made it to the top.
Oh, I don't know.
You're the
about
first
that.
child.
Yeah.
So when you were growing up, what was that like?
So basically, I was very active into all kinds of sports, soccer, track and field, even
Really?
badminton,
Really?
handball, cross-country skiing.
Wow.
So basically, we lived next to the sport complex. So that's where I spent all my time.
Very good.
I loved it.
Did you win anything?
I was won something, but I wasn't really best. But
Yeah.
I just really enjoyed both the team sports and the individual. I loved the competition of it.
Yeah.
Of course, very disappointed when I did win, but I wasn't used to winning at all.
Yeah.
But and I still enjoy a good competition.
Yeah.
So
You
something
still
that's stuck with me.
play sports, or are you?
So I
less?
still do a bit of running,
Okay.
and then just lift some weights.
Yeah.
Because if you sit too much in the office and
Yeah.
you travel so much as we do, it's going to wear you down if
It
you don't try
does.
to stay a bit physically active.
True.
Yeah.
So in school, did you have subjects you liked, or?
So I was pretty much in math. That was my thing.
Maths,
Language, I was not so well.
That's worked out okay.
Yeah. We'll see. So but anything with physics and maths, that was all
Really?
my strength and my
Yeah.
go-to place.
So when you went to college or university, what was your degree?
Yeah, so my degree was civil engineering.
Really?
Basically focusing on the structural part of it.
Yeah.
So basically, structural calculations, steel,
Yeah.
concrete, wood, whatever.
Yeah. So you got a lot of skills that are transferable. Yeah.
But actually,
materials.
I almost did not go to college.
Really? Because you were in a band.
No, I wasn't in a band. That's one thing I can't do.
You didn't do that?
I don't do any music.
You weren't do. No.
Not a single.
None of
So
that.
in Norway, everybody has to learn to play the flute.
Everyone has
And
to.
if you go to my parents' house today, you'll see a lot of marks in the wall still from me throwing that flute.
That's the way. That's the word we're looking for.
Into the wall. So anything with music, I can listen to it, I enjoy the music, but I can't sing, I can't play any instrument, unfortunately.
That's a shame, because we have a flute here that
Yeah.
we planned.
Can
No, we
throw
don't.
around. Yeah, so actually when I was in high school, I started, actually middle school, I started working a bit for my uncle, who run a bricklaying company.
Oh wow.
So I started there, working the weekends and summer jobs, stuff like that. And then actually when I was done in middle school, I was considering doing an apprentice because I really enjoyed it. It's every time you come to work, you see the direct results of what you do.
Yeah.
So, but then in the end, I did did go to
You
high
did the
school.
long game, yeah.
And then after that, I was sort of, okay, I like studying and like learning more about it. So.
Yeah, apprenticeship, not everyone understands that, but we had it in Scotland too, where you have an ability to get out, and also you're tempted by money.
Yeah, of course. You start to get some pocket money.
That's
and
right.
Okay,
I
can
know,
do
I
that.
like making money.
Yeah,
I'll do an
yeah.
apprenticeship. I don't need to do college.
No. So then I ended up going to college up in Trondheim, which is basically the biggest technical university in Norway.
NTNU, is that right?
Yeah, I'm a bit old, so at that time it was
Really?
NTH,
Oh, really?
NTH, Norwegian Technical
NTH.
High School.
Yeah. Very good.
So enjoyed 4.5 very good years up there.
Yeah.
And
It's a wild place.
It's a wild place. It's what's special there is you get basically 4 seasons in a day.
Yeah.
You can have sun going to school, and then by the time you're biking back, it's like snowing and.
Yeah. I call that Aberdeen, but
yeah, it's
very similar. You get the
even more
wild
extreme,
mix.
I
It
would
is
say.
extreme.
Yeah.
You are in an extreme environment.
So by the time I was done there, I wanted to go back on
to the south.
South coast.
Enjoy the sunny world of Christian Sand.
Yeah, it's not a bad place.
So what did you study?
So I did study structural engineering, and basically when I was up there, I had never heard about hydraulift. That's where I started. So when I was up there, one of my professors, he got a call from a guy that had studied there a couple of years earlier, which was actually the owner of Hydralift's son. Trim.
Oh,
yeah.
really? Bjarne's son, I assume.
Yeah. So he called up the professor and said, "Do you have any, people that is usable from the southern part of the country?" And actually, that same day, I was going down to Kristiansand for another job interview as basically in a construction company.
Yeah, because you were going that way.
Building construction sites, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, we have this guy. You can talk with him."
So you had the number one skill they were looking for. You were from the south.
I was from the south, and I was a reasonable guy. I guess.
And he's an okay guy. Maybe, we'll see. But he's from the south. He's qualified. Hire him.
Yeah.
That's great.
So I went to my real interview with the construction company first, and it was good. They asked me, if you get the offer, do you take it? I said, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And then I just stopped by the other guys that I've never heard of.
Check it out. Hydralift,
and it was like
do?
a complete match with the guys.
Yeah,
that was
you
there.
liked it. How many people at the time?
At the time, there was like maybe 160 people-ish. Pretty small.
Still got that awesome building, though.
Yeah.
So, they were, right?
No, we were not there.
Oh, they weren't there yet?
No.
So
we were up in the industrial area at the time.
Okay, so before that.
Yeah. So,
Very
but just the people that was there and just how we clicked So,
And were they primarily cranes? Are they doing drilling equipment yet?
It was still very early days of drilling equipment. So we delivered some compensators.
Njordish, like when that came out?
It was before Njord. So we about a year into my career, we got the first drilling package for hydraulic, which was Njord.
Yeah, I remember.
So we were doing cranes. We were starting to do some top drives, and then also crown compensators and pipe handling equipment.
And what was your first role?
So I started as a structural engineer.
Yeah.
So basically, what I did in school, I came out of university and did the same thing.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
It was perfect. So
doing CMC or all structures?
Yeah, crown compensators, calculation for the cranes, basically everything to size up all the equipment that we made in hydraulic.
Small group. So you're.
Yeah, we were like in the beginning 3 guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The structural team. Yeah.
And then after a year, when Trim was he left to pursue other interests, the owner's son.
Yeah.
So then I took over this small group, and actually that's all I did for about 10 years.
Really.
Doing calculation. I was a working manager because we was a small team.
Yeah.
Of course, we grew over time, but basically, doing calculations.
I like that you're doing this. Were you physically writing, or were you calculating?
Yeah, we were calculating using software.
In a slide rule, I know.
Yeah. So
that's funny.
MathCAD and STAR and ANSYS and all those tools.
It would have been earlier days of all those things. Yeah. Wild.
So that was good, and at that time, we had a very good team. So any problem.
It's not anymore, but you did then.
There's still some good guys there. No, but
Yeah.
so any problems that they threw at us, we got together, we solved it. So,
Yeah, it
but
was a very creative time as well.
it was a lot of new equipment,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
a lot of first off, a lot of things that needed to be checked before we went into production. And
How did it
right-sized.
feel? The group, would it feel like a startup, or I mean, a few hundred people?
I wouldn't really say startup. It was so the drilling piece of it was a startup
Yeah.
almost. So we had the crane business
Crane
was
was established.
established. That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
the main part of the business. But you know, the owner, he really wanted to get back into drilling because
Yeah.
he sold MH.
He wanted to
ABB,
make yellow equipment instead of red equipment.
and then so that was the core. And it was so much new stuff.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, Jord was a ton of new equipment.
Yeah,
I mean, crazy.
because
Well, you would have been on that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
did all that, and really enjoyed it. So
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
never told people, but I used it as the example of why we weren't a monopoly when we brought National Oil and Barco together.
yeah,
I said, look, this company had cranes, and suddenly they had a whole drilling package.
yeah.
Like, well, there's not a lot of barrier to entry in our business,
No.
you know, and the government didn't like it because they're like, that's the main measure. Like, if people can do this easily, there's no monopoly,
Yeah.
you know. So, yeah, that's interesting.
No, and you see that there's a lot of small companies popped up
Yeah.
in that same area with using the same skill sets
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the people know you have the sub-supply base that knows the business. So that's why
It's a good
pretty
question.
easy.
What was Christian Sand? Why did it become central? I mean, was it MH that began it? or
MH
it,
was the starting.
but what was
point.
before that
So
in
there-
town?
So the hydraulic cranes was before
So-
that.
so
we
cranes
had a
was
so that was started in '65.
Yeah, Good times. I was
with
minus
a
one.
lot of small, cargo cranes.
Yeah, yeah.
Sold them to all over the world. If you go to any ship channels today, even today, you'll see
yeah,
hydraulic cranes on many of those vessels.
on ship
So-
side or on
and it's
vessel.
the same technology. You have, hydraulic cylinders and electrical motors, and you
Yeah.
make things move and go up and down. And I think at that time as well, the requirements for getting started was not that high. And if you
Yeah.
had the right, somebody willing to take a chance,
Yeah,
you got a chance.
and if
So
you were from the south, I've learned that's a requirement. Something new.
I think the reason they asked for a local guy,
They wanted to
is
understand
less,
you.
less chance for him to work there short term.
That's right, and that's a true thing of Christian Sand. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful place. I mean, it's for people who don't know. It's a resort for some people. They'll have holiday homes there, and it's a nice place,
Summertime, it's very popular for vacationing.
right? And people from there want to stay. It's where your family
Mostly,
is.
yeah.
yeah,
So people
That's
ask,
good.
so why do you want to leave? It's
Yeah.
like, it's so good here. So
yeah. It is. It's really nice. I think my team just went over, and they were like, "What? This? I didn't know heaven existed." I'm like, "This is summer.
yeah.
It's not always.
It's
this
not
way."
always like
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
but
that's
it's
good.
It's a good place to live. for
So
sure.
how did you progress? In the
Yeah, so
company?
so then for me, I was very happy doing structural calculations, heading up that group. I never thought anything about doing anything else.
Mhm.
And then one day I was called into basically Birger Scheyer, the CEO at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And he asked me, so he talked about our crane business was not going so well, and we need to do something different. We are
Mhm.
losing a lot of money. We need some new ideas. And I was thinking, okay, so why are you telling me all this stuff? And maybe he's going to ask me, what do I think about some
Any
candidate?
ideas? Yeah, yeah.
And then he's saying, yeah, and we think you would be a good candidate to run this part of the business.
And you're
I
like,
was
what are you thinking?
why? I'm a structural engineer. So then, but so
You think he just saw something in you? He was just
yeah, but hopefully.
hopefully.
So
Maybe
he
you were
thought I
from the
could do it.
south. He was like, he's from the south, No, I'm sure. I'm
So-
sure they were seeing stuff in you.
Yeah. So then after thinking about it, I decided, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then those first 6 months were just the most frustrating part in my life, because in my prior career, it was anything that was thrown at me. Okay, the solution was just work harder, get a few guys, and you work the weekend or whatever, and problem
You get it
solved.
done.
You're done.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we were at that time. It was sales, project engineering, supply chain, everything.
Yeah.
So I came in there, was heading up this team.
You're running a
But
business.
I was running a business, but I couldn't do anything alone. So no matter how hard I worked or what
you
I did,
couldn't solve it.
couldn't solve it. I needed to get the team to work to really understand our problem, where we were going, and that transition. And I felt I came to work, I didn't produce anything. In the beginning, I felt
that's
like
the weird
useless
management experience.
Yeah. So I was so frustrated for those 6 first months.
Yeah.
But then you start getting some wins and you get the team together.
Yeah.
They really understand what's needed and everybody pulling in the right direction. It's an amazing feeling once you get those wins after that.
Yeah, when you realize they're listening to me.
Yeah. Or not only me, but together we come up with great solutions.
Yeah.
And people is contributing, chiming in, and aligned on the direction, and then everybody's pulling. Of course, we had a crisis, so that makes it easier for everybody to pull in the right direction. And then we had tremendous success with our knucklebone cranes.
Yeah.
That was sort of the start of that, and the heave compensated cranes as well. So we had a lot of help from the market, but that drive. So within those 5 years, I was heading up that team. We actually grew it to 500 million, and a very, very good margins as well. So.
And do you think that was foundational in your leadership style? Because you came from a job.
And I've been I never think about, was that the right choice? So it wasn't like I didn't regret, that first 6 months. I'm always, when I've made a choice and go forward, I don't look back and say, was it better what I had? Never ask that question, because there's nothing good coming out of that.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
So, so that was very, for my rest of my career, that whole transition, understanding how to build a team, getting the common understanding of the challenges and alignment on how to solve them. Yeah, I think that's really been shaping.
So teamwork is a big part of how you think about it.
Yeah, for sure.
You knew you didn't have all the skills, which probably helped.
Yeah.
To go into a space and go, I'm going to need to rely on others.
For sure.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really good. So that's continued, you think, through the years?
I think so. Just now recently, when I was so lucky to be asked to head up the rig technology team, basically did the same thing, got the whole, what was now our current leadership team together and say, okay, what's our biggest challenges? What should be our focus areas? What does our customer need? What's the right thing for our organization? And get basically alignment on that within the leadership team, and then communicating that to the organization. So it's just the basic things that
it is, but not everyone gets it. I mean, it's really, I think that early journey seems to have made a big impact on how you run things. What was your hardest day?
I don't think it was any specific day per se. It was more the long frustration when you came home. I've done nothing, because really I'm so motivated by seeing results of what I do. Yeah. If you go there and you felt, I've just been talking to all these guys, I haven't produced anything. Yeah. It's like,
that's funny. Useless. Yeah. I remember when you get in a manager position and you're used to doing, and like you say, I know how to fix it when it's just me responsible, but getting someone to do something, where it's not easy.
But it's very, very rewarding once you get that click with the team and you get those wins for sure.
Yeah. I asked the question because I was remembering seeing you in the paper in Norway, and I thought that can't be a good day when the layoffs were happening.
Okay, so later on.
I know. I'm just thinking of that day, going. Yeah. Surely that was the worst day.
So So of course I was lucky. I was heading up also the global, when we had offshore and land in rig. So I was heading up the whole global offshore engineering team. Yeah. And then we were building up from 2012 to 2016, everything was going up and up. We had 2,000 engineers at the peak. And then later on, I was also doing a dual role. I was the managing director for the Norway operation. And this was when everything, the bottom fell out. Yeah. But we had to execute because we had all this backlog that they couldn't be canceled by the shipyard. And then, in the beginning, we had to close down complete workshops. And going out there and informing the people that unfortunately we have to cut. And this is a small place, so basically the employees you had to let go, that was the parents of your kids' friends. Yeah.
you're going to see
kids
them.
were playing on the soccer
in
team that you
yeah,
were coaching. You see them all over town, so it's like it gets
so
very close.
Yeah.
So that was definitely the hardest period, and also because you couldn't do just one cut and done.
Yeah.
This went on over years, and our backlog was went down and down, and we had like 7 or 8 rounds.
Yeah. It was
very
rough.
demoralizing for the whole workforce, of course. So
that was tough. Yeah.
If you,
I didn't want to bring up,
but
your
it wasn't.
worst day.
It wasn't a specific. It wasn't,
it wasn't
a specific
day.
day.
I just
and
remember
also one additional thing to it, and you don't see that here in the U.S. basically, but on those local places, the newspapers. Of course, you are the biggest private employer in the area, so they're very concerned. So when we had the first town hall meeting, and then announced we're going to have this big round of cuts, of course, the newspaper were lined up with journalists outside and wanted to interview the unions. It's not
rough.
a good day. So, but luckily, I would say we had a very good communication with the unions and the employees. So we had very few, people putting their frustrations out in the media and making it even worse.
Well, and I'll say that about NOV is we hear from people who watch us and watch the social media of people who leave, and generally people are positive about the company. So and I think in that era, feeling the pain is part of. If you don't feel the pain, something's wrong.
Yeah, you know? I think everybody understood why we had to do it and thought it was a fair process, basically. And afterwards, that's been very good to see. Afterwards, a lot of the people that had to go during these difficult times, they're now coming back.
They come back, which I've seen that my whole career, and that's a healthy sign.
For sure.
That's really good. So I have to ask you, what's your best day then? What do you think was your favorite moment? And I didn't give you these questions, so I know you're in the deep end here. But
so I think getting in that early phase when we got those first wins, winning those new contracts, completing those projects on the crane side after we've sort of had been struggling for so long, when we finally closed those deals and executing those projects there at that early phase, and everybody was pulling together. It was a big win. So I think I actually go back to those days as the best.
I think first wins they're a big deal.
Yeah,
that's really good. What about advice for people who want to do well in the company? I'm sure you get asked that. What do you normally say?
So I was, for me, in the job you have, do your best. Take any opportunity that you have to do more, stretch assignment or whatever. And if you're asked to do stuff, say yes and go for it. And don't think about, I'm doing this because of that, and the other. I don't think being clever. Put in your best effort where you are. And you know, in this business and the company, you have to treat people right.
Yeah.
Because if you don't treat the people right, they're going to end up on the other side of the table as your boss or your customer or whatever. So I think build bridges and treat people like you want to be treated. And that's if you're arrogant or
it never
talk
works.
Down on people.
And I think people don't last. You know, when people are that way, when people get frustrated in the company, I'm always like, you'll see, they won't last here because it doesn't work with the culture.
One more thing I would say, be patient, because when we had reorganized Rig Technologies, I traveled around to most locations to meet the leadership team, to meet the people. And what was really striking to me was basically every time we come and we had the local leadership team, I started in the warehouse, I started as a service engineer, and so they all had these stories where they started with NOV in a position that they had grown with the company. And I thought, this is something unique for us. This is unique because we have some of our competitors that has sort of been cherry picking from us and others into their leadership team. Yeah. So then I asked my leadership team in Rig plus one level down. So basically, like 48 people. How many years have you been with NOV? How many positions have you had? Yeah. So in average, we had quite seasoned group, but we had like 18 years in average, and they had like six positions over that time. Yeah. And many of these positions is not, straight line up. Right. It's sideways, whatever. So basically 3 years time, but in each position, that was the average for our wider leadership team. But then I look at, so how long does people last? Oh, the people that is leaving us, how long have they stayed with us? So then it turns out 60% of our employee that leaves, they have been with us less than 2 years. And the main reason why they leave is they leave for growth opportunities. They want to progress their career. And I'm thinking, in average, in my leadership team, we have stayed 3 years for the next move, and you leave at 2. You're not patient enough. You're not seeing it. You need to put in effort. You need to learn properly where you are, so you can use that base to grow further later. So that main advice: be patient and put in the effort. Basically,
I like it. Good advice. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
It's a short experience, so we appreciate your time. Hopefully, we can have you back sometime.
Sure, David. Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.